What is up, Honey Badger Nation? This is John Kitchens, and welcome to episode 135 of Export Mentors Live. I am super excited for today's episode as we have Mr. Justin Nelson on with us, and we're going to talk about scaling virtual with virtual assistants. Justin, what is up?
Not much, man. I'm just sitting over here being jealous of your background. I know people might not be able to see the light, but it looks beautiful.
I was kind of hoping that you were going to have the same background as myself today.
I should have. I had to leave early, but Puerto Rico did have a very similar windy background.
Yeah. So we're in St. Thomas. So just bear with us if the internet connection is not the best, but I'm really looking forward to today's conversation. Mr. Nick Good is a raving fan of yours, and I've played golf once in the last 2 years, and I got to play 9 holes with Nick, and we were just talking about team building and optimization, and it was about the time, maybe a little bit after that, I had been introduced to Dan Sullivan's new book, Who Not How. Mm-hmm. And, talking about, Nick, where Nick's at, what Nick's thinking about, and then really listening to that book, I was like, all right, Justin, we need to have a conversation. And man, it's been fast and furious. I know on my end, I built a squad in the last 45 days, thanks to your help. And I can't thank you enough. And, I rave about the process and how things have been so far. And I'm really, really excited to dive in with you today. But for everybody kind of tuning in, man, give a little bit of background, a little bit of history about yourself.
Yeah, so my history is pretty straightforward. My dad, who is still an agent at KW right now, for now, we all know he's coming over sooner than later.
Just a matter of time.
It's a matter of time. He may not admit it, but he's coming. But long story short, I got into the business when I was 15 years old. It was his first year in the business, and I was very fortunate that he let me do everything I wanted to do. He basically said, I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to do any of that. Justin, you go figure it out. So back in the day, Craigslist ads, Facebook ads. So I got my start as basically a marketing director, having no clue what I was doing. Ended up moving into an ISA role at 16 years old. So I started off as an ISA for my dad's team. Went played college football real fast, decided, I was like, wait, I can go make $100K in a month. I'm seeing these people do it. Why am I going to go be an engineer for $70,000 a year if I'm lucky? And so I kind of got the taste of money when I was 18, got licensed when I was 18 years old, dove right in. Within about a year, took over the team. My job on the team as the team leader was to purely just grow. So we grew from about 3 agents when I joined to about 20 within about 2 years. And then after that, kind of moved into the coaching business. Started a coaching company, got that up to about 1,300 clients that were paying us on a monthly basis for my group coaching around Facebook ads, anything social media, and lived on the road about 300 days a year. I was
tell me about that. How I guess it was good. You were young, right? So no other connections. So how was that experience?
Oh, it was amazing, man. In the moment, it was rough. I was, 300 days a year. I think we had 135 cities in 35 states, and I was night after night. I was teaching 8-hour seminars 4 days a week, selling from stage, our subscription program, and then COVID hit. About halfway through that coaching year, I ended up making the leap from my dad's team over to EXP. Because when I was traveling the country, I'm like, wait, if I'm getting put in front of audiences of 100, 200, 300 people, how can I maximize my income and make my effect greater? And it just wasn't at KW. So I ended up making the hard decision to sell back my ownership to my dad, move over. And then that's kind of what led me here. I moved to Dallas actually in 2020 or late 2019 thinking, all right, I'm going to go to the middle of the country. So that way I could do another 300 days a year on the road. I got an apartment half a mile from the airport. I was ready to go. February, March comes, every class canceled. I had 180 classes scheduled for 2020. Every single one canceled. So that is where I ended up moving more to the full-time role of the VA business we run now. And the virtual assistant business, obviously with COVID, is just took off. people accepted VAs more than they ever have before. And so that's kind of what has led me to where I am today.
Was that COVID pivot out of necessity to switch over to the VA? Was it just because now, oh shit, I can't travel, I got to figure something else out? So was that what kind of let you to kind of, oh, hey, we got something here, we can run with this?
Yeah, great question. So it was twofold. So we had actually started the pivot to VAs prior to COVID. Our pivot to VAs, where we had over 1,000 people in the coaching program. And what we were finding is they were like, Justin, it's great. All your information you're teaching me is fantastic and we're killing it with it. But I would rather have somebody else do it. So when I was traveling on the road 300 days a year, people are like, hey, how are you keeping your life together? How are you still doing transactions? How are you doing all of this all across the country? And people didn't realize I had built a virtual assistant staff. And they were like, what? You have 10 team members? You have 5 team members? And so once I kind of got to sit back and go, wow, we have 1,000 people in our coaching program. They need VAs. I had kind of keeping that secret to myself. And it wasn't a secret, but it was a secret. People knew I had them, but I didn't really tell them how to get them. I was just kind of brushed it off. I was like, no, this is all me. And so then eventually we started to go to some of our close friends, and Nick Good was actually one of our first members. I said, hey man, you want to try this out? We'll go and find them for you. We'll help you train them. We'll help you get them off the ground and running. And once we started with that, it just blew up. I mean, we're now doing 50 to 80 placements a month. And our goal last year was to place 100 VAs. And now we're doing this month, we'll do probably 75 VA placements. So COVID wasn't the reason why we did it, but it definitely accelerated it beyond imagination.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you guys, you guys have a different approach, and, for a lot of everybody kind of tuning in, I'll just share a little bit of our experience. We had a VA for us, and I still to this day, I think he does some stuff for Stacey and Reedy up in the Lawton office. And we went through my Outdesk. That was kind of the only option that we had, and not really understanding, and we're paying a fee, and it's like, okay, well, how much does the VA get? How much do you guys get? So just trying to understand that model, and being able to really dive in with you, how you guys are different. I always, when I explain it, I'm like, hey, they're a talent hunter and a training organization. That's the best way that just my experience to describe you guys. And just kind of share how a little bit you're different than the other traditional VA.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So one of the key things when it comes to VA companies is it's kind of like a real estate transaction. And we're going to talk about this is the average VA company, John, to keep it easy, just like my Outdesk and a lot of other companies, they're going to find you great VAs a lot of the time. The thing with them though, is they're usually going to pay the VA about 50% of it. And then they're going to keep the other 50%, which is fine. That's totally fine. It's a great business model. A lot of people thrive with that. What we found though, is I'm pretty aggressive in my growth, that I was like, wait, if I go to my Outdesk and I need to get a VA at $1,500 a month, I have to sign a contract. I'm committed to 6 months, committed to a year, wherever it might be in that line. And so it was kind of like a T-Mobile or a Verizon or a Dish contract. You'd get into the contract and you'd want a second one or a third VA, and you'd be like, man, do I really want to commit myself to having 3 VAs at $1,500 a month for another year? And what if I want to get to 10 VAs? Do I want a 15,000 guaranteed? Like, even if the market crashes from underneath me, I have to pay it. It's not like an admin that's sitting right next to you where you could just let them go. With these VA companies, they put you in these contracts. We kind of started there. And then when I learned that, wait, they're only paying the VA 50% of it, why can't I just go and find the VA and pay them 50%, same quality of VA? Or even more importantly, John, and I think you've really attached to this, what if I actually wanted to pay the VA more than 50% and get better talent, right? A lot of those companies, they have talent caps, because if you think about it, they don't want to pay their VA more, because then they don't get as much margin. And so you kind of cap your level of talent. So really, like you said, we say that we're a training and a headhunting organization that just happens to have virtual assistants as our primary, lever for people to use. And so really what we do is we're like a real estate transaction. John, someone comes to you and goes, hey, I need to help you need to help me buy a home. You're going to go explore the market. You're going to walk them through the process. You're going to give them training. You're going to give them whatever they need to succeed. And when you help them buy the home, you get a one-time commission, which is what we do. One-time commission. And then from there, because John, if you told your buyer, hey, congratulations on buying your home, you now owe me $750 a month for the rest of your life that you live here, they would look at you like you're damn crazy, right? But for some reason in the VA industry, there's been this gap. It's either you go on Craigslist in the Philippines and you cross your fingers that you're going to find good talent and you get them at their price, Or you have to go to the opposite end of the spectrum with your big companies, and they're going to get you good talent. There's going to be better quality review, but you're going to pay for it for a very long time. So we took the middle approach to go, how can we help you source them at cost, but still take the big company's method of intense screening and intense reviewing, and then put training behind it and mesh it together? Because John, I mean, I think you went to 3 VAs within like 3 weeks. I mean, like fast.
I go fast, brother. when I know something, I'm like, okay, I see it. I know it's time to go. And like I said, that concept of who, not how really, really opened my eyes to think a little bit differently in terms. So, and obviously talking with Nick, and then had a great conversation with you. And I was like, hey, this is the problem I have. Can we find that solution to solve it? And you're like, well, probably not that specific, but we can find this that can learn to adapt to that. And I was like, let's go, let's do that. I love it. And I think that, for me, it was getting clear on the problem that I needed help solving. And so what do you tell agents or people out there that are, kind of on the fence? Well, I need this person in-house versus virtual. Like, what do you talk them through to determine what's going to be the best solution for them?
Yeah. So for me, I challenge people to go, what physically do you actually need done by an in-person admin? Because here's the reality, John, this is why we exploded. When COVID hit, everybody's in-person admins turned to virtual assistants. They just turned into high-paid virtual assistants. The only difference. And so I challenge people to go, what do you need that's actually in person? And when we get the same answers, I need lockbox running. And I ask, well, how many times do you actually have a lockbox run? And they're like, well, 50. Right? Or if the answer is massive, it's not a big problem here because they're making some good money. So I'm like, all right, you need it 50 times a year. What if your VA coordinated a pool of 10 high school kids that at any given time could go put the lockbox on the door, right? Or could go put the sign in the yard, right? Let that be someone else's problem. The reason why you need an in-person admin is you don't want to manage all that shit. For a VA that you're paying $500 a month, they can manage all that, and you're not having to pay someone $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 extra dollars per month just because they're in person, but really not in person. And so the world of Zoom and all of that, that's usually what I challenge people. I'm like, do you actually need an in-person? Or I get well, I need them to run to Staples for me and get stuff. I'm like, have you ever heard of Amazon? My VAs, one of the funny things I do is I take a picture of my fridge each week. They know where things go, and they fill my fridge up by Amazon me food. And so we've learned how to take it to the extremes. My VAs have access to my cameras in my house. They let my cleaners in and out. They pay my cleaners once they leave. And so we found that you don't need to be in person for a lot of things. So I guess to answer your question, there's some people that need that in-person interaction, which I get, but I usually just start off by challenging them to go, tell me what you actually need done in person, and is it worth it?
Oh, I love that. And, we're all about changing the way people think. And this is really what, I love, the Expert Mentor series has really been about. And, for all of you, maybe this is your first time or second Expert Mentors you've listened to, go back and listen to what Justin just preached for the last 5 minutes. And there's a fantastic book that was written in late 19, and it was by Peter Diamandis, called "The Future is Faster Than You Think." And it's the third part of Bold and Abundance. So then this one is "The Future is Faster Than You Think." And they wrote it in 19, heading into 20 before the pandemic. And everything that they talked about in that book has been accelerated by maybe 5, 6, 7 years because of the pandemic. Yeah. Everything that they preached is coming true. And there's one real estate company that they talk about in that book, and they talk about EXP. And everything that you just said is that the pandemic forced you to have a virtual assistant anyways. So you have a high paid virtual assistant. So now what do could you offset that cost to where you can reinvest into more talent? So that was my big get, right? Justin, when I was talking with you and talking with Nick, I was like, holy shit, I could get a squad of talent. And that's what I would say. Yeah, you're a headhunting company, but I like, you're more of a talent seeking company. You go find talent. And fortunate for me, I've got a couple, brand new, but the first one that you got for me, she's talent. I mean, she is like absolutely talent. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can stay within my salary cap, and I could put the best. So that's all the salary cap is about, right? Is that you put the best team on the field to accomplish the goal. And it's just math, right? If I can go get if I can go get more talent for the dollars I have, why not explore that option? So let's talk pros and cons of VA. Now it's like, hey, it may be better yet. When do you need to get one? Is it like, hey, when you know the problem? So in your mind, hey, this is the time you need to explore and having a VA for you.
Yeah. So for me, there's two different types of people. We have the solo agents that have no help at all. If you have no help at all and you're making $50,000 plus a year, you're ready for a VA, right? Are you ready for a $1,500 to $2,000 a month company VA? No, because that'd be half your income for the year. Are you ready for, for me, the 10% rule is pretty good. 10% of your income in most cases can go to some type of salary. So when you think about this, if you're $50,000 a year, you can get a VA for $500 a month. Now, our company's average, and you're kind of above this and are right at it, is $640 a month for a full-time VA. People don't realize when VAs start with me on my team, I cast a vision that if they buy in, they're with me for the long run, they're going to make a lot of money. So they all start at $400 a month, right? We have a ton of placements that go out at $400 a month. And so I challenge people to not listen to the industry noise of, hey, Justin must not be paying VAs very well if it's only $400 a month. Because what you don't realize is a lot of the companies you're paying $1,500, $2,000, they're turning around and paying the VAs $400 a month. They're creating this false sense and false story. And so to answer your question, with the solo agent, I usually tell people, sorry about that. I usually tell people right away, whenever you're making 50,000 plus, go for it. The next time I see it is when somebody has an assistant that is struggling because there's so much on their plate and they're just not ready to make the jump to another full-time $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month salary. The other time we see this a lot too right now, especially within the EXP system, is, John, the biggest thing that we miss out on, I think, as team leaders is retaining our top talent on our team. It's a hidden ROI. We can look at ROI. If you retain talent, that is an ROI, because if you don't retain talent, you go down the drain. And so when we can give people like Nick Good, who gives Elizabeth a VA that he's paying for at $500 a month, like, look at that. You know what I mean? Like, retained talent, retain. And so that's a big retention tool. And so those are kind of our three different areas that if you're making 50,000 plus as a solo agent, let's go for it. Bigger agents that have an admin already, that admin needs to get into their 20%. You need to get that admin, stop doing all the little tasks, get your admin thinking high level so you can grow. And then we're seeing a lot right now, man, within EXP, there's so many revenue share options and just revenue income streams that you can do that we as top producers, we can't do them all. Like, we can't focus our attention on all of them. And so we're seeing a lot of people go, wow, I can have a VA for $500 a month, help me build my revenue share, help me keep that organized. Hey, I can have a VA for $500 a month, manage my group, just like a Honey Badgers group, right? A lot of people in this group probably have their own groups as well. Like, I can have a VA, make that look as badass as you guys make yours, right? With people. And so to answer your question, those are kind of the three different areas. Solo agent, pretty much after 50K. Team member, when you need more assistance, but you're trying to be cheap or just trying to stay within a budget. And then number three is when you got side projects that are taking too much of your time.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. And that really is really great way to kind of break that down and look where you're at. And if things are falling through the cracks, there's definitely things there that probably need to happen. So definitely a lot of upside to the VAs. What are some of the possible downsides of bringing a VA on board?
Yeah, so the downside, I would say the biggest one is obviously and it's not even that big of a downside for most people, is them not being in person with you. Because as an agent, your leadership skills and your dedication to being good at your craft has to go up a little bit, right? Me managing somebody through a computer is different than me talking to them. And I think that's a downside, is sometimes people treat virtual assistants as just a computer program halfway across the country. They send an email to them, go, can you get this done for me? And it might get done right. It might not get done right. And so it is a little bit of a con in terms of some of that in-person interaction that you may have. I call it water cooler talk. You getting to know their family, you getting to know them better, you motivating them to think outside the box and grow with you within a company and culture is a little bit harder to duplicate when you are over a computer, right? You have to be a little bit more dedicated to, I need to get on a Zoom for 10 minutes a day and do a huddle, right? Maybe something you don't even have to do in your own office because people are you're just talking to them throughout the day. And so I would say that's probably the biggest con. But hey, man, with Zoom, if I was in my main office right now and I had power, I have a wall of TVs where all my VAs sit there all day. So when I walk into my office, they're all there. They can chime in. I feel like I'm just in Google, where they're all talking to me whenever they need to be. And so that's obviously con number one. And then we've already kind of covered another con. There are some in-person things that an assistant could do, right? A lot of people might use their in-person assistant kind of as a hybrid, like showing assistant model. I know when I was in real estate, if I had an emergency, my actual in-person admin would take over. Hey, can you go show this for me? Or, hey, I can't attend closing today because of an emergency. Can you go for me? So you do lose a little bit of those things. However, John, I think a lot of people that could benefit from an in-person assistant won't get there unless they get some help, because they're just going to stay at the ceiling that they're at, spinning their wheels, and they'll never feel ready for that in-person assistant.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of afraid to let go, and kind of the trust factor. And I can do it better. But I mean, I'll say it again. I mean, I recommend the book more than anything. It's just who, not how, and you got to change your thinking. And it's just like what you challenged everybody 10 minutes ago is just challenge the way you think about it, instead of you having to be the one that figures it out. How can you get some talent and support to help you accomplish it? I love the little pro tip with the TVs with everybody's monitors, so that where they're there. I definitely the Zoom thing has been absolutely key. And then we've utilized WhatsApp, and we have the individual channel, but then we also have a team channel to where they're all in there. And the thing that I've done, and you just mentioned just a second ago, and is just over communicating the vision of what you're wanting to accomplish, and so they feel a part of it.
Absolutely.
And that's just like, man, I don't know, it's just from a leadership principle. And I think even if they're VA or if they're in the office, like, you as a leader have to cascade that vision, and your VAs have to be bought into it as well, and in my opinion, to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the other thing that I think you're living out right now is you're in St. Thomas. And one of the things that I struggled with my in-person assistants, man, because I'll tell you, I cannot keep an in-person assistant. It is hard for me to do. I'm just going to be fully transparent because this is my lifestyle. I'm in Puerto Rico one day, I'm in Cabo the next day, I'm in across the country doing something. And my in-person, it was a weird feeling of I'm not going to the office, right? Or even when I was in production, I was so busy some days I wouldn't even go to the office for 5 days. I was doing production. You shouldn't be sitting in your office all day. And so there was this kind of rift sometimes of my assistants like, wait, why are you traveling and working remotely? Why are you never in the office? And so if someone's kind of got that lifestyle of like, I don't want to have to go into the office, I don't want to have to report, my team, they live across the country. They live over the seas. Like, they're used to me not being there. So there's a lot of benefit. We get that from a lot of, single parents or, busy parents. And it's like, well, I can't go do that. And so to kind of hit on that point, it's exactly, you just got to change the way you think. And I'll be honest with you, John, it's a lot more fun to kind of mess up and learn your leadership skills with a $500 a month employee than it is $3,500 a month, right? Because here's the thing, we're all gonna mess up. We're all gonna be bad leaders at times. We're gonna have to grow. I'll tell you, it was I went home not beating myself up as much when I messed up and lost a VA because of my leadership skills, rather than $3,500 a month that now I knew was going to be at least another $7,000 to get someone spun up again, right? I felt a little pressure.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I think a lot of people tuning in have felt that way, and maybe they've been the one that has felt that way working for somebody. And I know I've been victim of that, right? Especially early on in the days when Kinder was traveling a lot and getting things going, and I'd be like, "Come on, bro, like you're leaving your boy hanging. What's up, right?" And that was just a learning for me that just wasn't true. But but a lot of people and a lot of team members feel that way. If they don't understand what we're trying to accomplish. And we've been fortunate, man. We've been virtual for 3+ years, and we had the team, but we just went virtual, but we never tapped into the virtual assistant help, like finding talent, overseas and being able to go that route. I will say one, man, there is, just my experience so far, and you can add to this or correct me, but there seems to be a different sense of appreciation and gratitude that comes from, the culture versus what sometimes you see from entitlement here in the States. Am I close to something, or have you experienced that as well?
Yeah, so there's two things. There's two things here. Number one's culture. You're absolutely right. Culture is a hardworking culture. It's a very apologetic culture too, which is actually can sometimes be a con too. Like they want to perfect things. They want to make sure that you're extremely happy. It's just their culture. So the culture, number one, completely different culture. Number two is what I kind of call the currency loophole, right? Whenever you look at hiring here, if you hire someone from 15,000 to 40,000 a year here, it's just a higher turnover rate, right? It's harder for someone to see themselves there long term. It's just what it is. And so over there, when you're paying someone $400 a month, that's the average household income, John. Average household income in the Philippines is $400 a month for the household. So when you pay one VA 400, which by the way, most employers pay about 640, 700. So if you're paying your VA, John, 640 a month, 640 bucks, that's it. That's 1.5 times more than their average household income. And so they also have an appreciation for, wow, I don't have to go and earn half this. Oh, and I don't have to leave my kids. Like the overnight shift for them where they work on our time zone and they're overnight, they love it because they can wake up with their kids in the morning, sleep while they're at school, hang out with them at night, and then they go to work. It's just they value family a lot more than we do, which in America is already super high, but they value it double. So to answer your question, that's kind of, you're absolutely right. But part of it too is a currency thing.
Man, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important to understand, especially as all of you guys listening in here that are leaders and growing your organization. Number one thing is culture. I mean, it has to be, and culture stems from your values and it's a part of the vision. So having that vision, being able to articulate it and live and focus on the culture, then focus on the people and really pouring into them. And then, we can get into the other stuff. But those two things are number one and number two. And what a great way to be able to go about that, to build your team on your terms, which is awesome. So Justin, somebody's thinking about like, hey man, I know you're right. But where do I start? Like what are some of the things that people should be thinking about prepping for before they pull the trigger and want to have a conversation and hire you?
Yeah, so for me, it's all SOP, which if people don't know what an SOP is, it's a standard operating procedure. So I tell people what you want to do is you want to look at two categories. Category number one is what I call stress reduction. Stress reduction is where you look at your business and go, I know how to do this. I do it already, and I could teach it. Right? That's something that could be as simple as setting up a showing, right? Could you make a video, John, on how to set up a showing that if you had to ask your assistant to do it, you're like, yeah, I've done that for years. It's embedded in me. I know how to do it. That's where we want to start with that section and go, let's start with stress reduction. So we have them write out everything that they do that they could give off their plate to reduce their stress. We start with that. Too many agents go out and get a VA and they go, John, I hear this all the time. Justin, I want a VA to cold call expireds. I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. But even if the VA found you a great deal, would you even know how to close it? Would you even know how to put together a system on if that VA is, even if they're experienced and there's a bug somewhere, like, are you going to be able to know what to do? And the answer is always no. They're like, Justin, we expect you to do that. And I'm like, that doesn't even work with the best of the best companies. And so we start off with stress reduction because then when you're building out the manual, which John, we help you do, through our course and give you best practices and everything of how to do it. That's side number one, stress reduction. And it can be things maybe, John, you're not even doing that you know how to do well, right? Maybe I need to call my database 4 times a year. Here's the thing, John. I tell people, have your VAs do that because the reality of you actually doing that, I'm going to give you less than 10% chance that you actually do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm going to give you less than 10% chance you actually do it. So let's just have somebody else do that. So that's section number one is stress reduction. Section number two is what I call things I'm not doing that I should be doing. But the reason why we break it into 2 sections is those could be things that maybe are going to take you a little bit longer to get your VA over because you're going to have to explain to them how you want it and be figuring it out at the same time. So that could be like, hey, I want my VA to run my Instagram for me. Well, cool. We can teach your VA how to do that at a high level, but you still have to teach your VA how you want it to look. What is your style? And so when agents just go straight to the things they've never done before, they feel frustrated and they feel this grind of a VA and it doesn't feel smooth. They're like, this is not working. I feel like I'm always beating my head against the wall. So if you start with section number one, you feel that immediate, wow, I don't schedule my showings anymore. Wow, my VA filled my fridge. wow, my VA's called my kids out of school for me, right? Wow, my VA planned my family vacation. You're feeling that immediate impact, and it gives you motivation to move into the harder categories once you've built up the trust. And so to answer your question, really easy. Write those 2 categories down, write out what you need in each. And John, start with 5 things in each. You don't need to go and get an assistant that can do 100, right off the bat. Let's start with 5. What are 5 things that are going to give you a reduction in stress?
That's gold, man. It absolutely is. And I'm with you, man. People are trying to, the things that are the highest leveraged activities in this business, they're trying to outsource that first. And they haven't even got, like you said, I love the stress reducers off their plate. They haven't got the low leveraged activities off their plate. They're just trying to make an excuse to not do the activities that drive revenue in this business. And so that's awesome.
I mean, here's what I tell people, John. I'm like, hey, even if I got you 10 more deals this month from my awesome VA that was doing lead gen for you, what are you going to do? Are you going to be happy? Are you going to be happier? I tell people that all the time. Are you going to be a happier person with 10 more deals and you're still doing everything? Is your wife going to like you more? Is your husband going to like you more? They're like, well, no, they're probably still not liking it all because I'd be working 10 times more. I'm like, well, then this is backwards. We need to build the foundation first to build that. Because John, I've been there. I've been the guy doing a ton of deals, traveling the country. I was a complete asshole. You didn't want to talk to me. I didn't want friends. I didn't talk to my family. But it's because I didn't have the foundation. I kept doing more deals and I just became less and less happy. So
what shifted for you? So this might be good. What was there an epiphany, aha moment? You're like, okay, this isn't working. I gotta figure this out.
Yeah. So the epiphany for me was when I started to realize that I needed a ton more assistants, like a ton. So it really started when I got my very first assistant. And one day she came to me and said, Justin, I found $100,000 deal today. And I was like, wait, you found 100,000? Like, I think the previous year I'd only made like 275, which is still great money. I was like, wait, today you messaged someone random on Facebook and found $100,000 deal. And then I was like, wait, what if I got 20 more of you? Like how do we duplicate that? And then I started, the other things were like, I want a podcast. Okay, cool. I'm going to hire one VA at $30, 40 hours a week. They're going to run my podcast. Hey, I want to do this 40 hours a week. I mean, John, when I was on the road, I would have my power turned off all the time, turned off just because I forget to do things. And so I'm like, awesome, VA just to manage my personal life. And then I said, wow, I'm spending so much money on reoccurring subscriptions. Wow, what if I just had a VA that ran my finances and looked at all this? Wow, they saved me $30,000 this year. I should probably pay someone $500 a month to do that for me. And so we really started to look at ROI. And next thing you know, I'm like, I have an organization of 25 VAs, and my average monthly salary to them was like $10,000.
Yeah.
With a team of 25. People are thinking I'm paying $50,000 a month in salary. I'm like, no, I'm paying about $10,000 to $12,000 a month for a team of 25 people.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And I love the point there. And this is a good aha for a lot of you guys listening in. Sometimes the hire you need is not for your business. Sometimes the hire you need is for your life. And, that's where a VA can really come in and help us. Just keep that in mind as well. Sometimes the biggest problem is not in your business. The biggest problem is you need some support with the family. So yeah. just keep that in mind as well.
Absolutely. I always tell people you remembering an extra anniversary a year could lead to a happier life, which might get you 3-4 more deals. You spend 3 or 4 less nights in the doghouse, you're more motivated, you're happier. That just trickle effects into all of your business.
It does. It has a tremendous impact. So that's fantastic. David's asking, I don't know if you can see the question there, Justin, if you want to maybe give him a little insight. Signal agent working to build his pipeline and listings. Would some great ideas on how to use a VA to accomplish this. Should look at ISA instead of VA organized CRM. Like what would you recommend from all of your placement experience to be able to give David in the right direction?
Yeah. So for us, we always say start off with your sphere of influence, right? It sounds cliche. It's not the sexy answer, John. And people are like, because I would ask, well, David, how many listings are you getting out of your database right now? And he might say a lot, little, like it could be the answer. And I'm going to ask, what's the size of your database, right? Let's say he says 100. I go, cool. How much is that growing by per day? Right? It's just like a revenue share line. How much is that growing by? So when we look at it, I'm like, cool. How do we get that from 100 to 200? Right? And I might use a VA to go, okay, first we need to grow your database before we can even get more listings. So I'm going to look at database first. I'm going to look at the more cost-effective way, the like, the trust, so it's the same thing we've been coached on forever. So, and that would include CRM management, that would include that, but it's also going to include, I just shot a video on this Monday for our masterclass. We do videos just like this every week for our VA employers, where I said, hey, let's go get you in contact with 200 local business owners that you need to know. Your VA is going to schedule a 10-minute call with that business owner on Zoom. They're going to schedule 4 a day for you. And I just want you to become the celebrity of the town, even if you've never sold a home before. And so that's what we would start. As far as a VA in terms of being an ISA, I think it's great if you know if the VA is replacing you in things you already know how to do. I don't think it's great to start off by adding them into things you've never done. But John, the other thing we see right now is I was always a heavy internet lead buyer team. There's a ton of teams that are increasing their internet spend and using VAs to find listings through increased buyers, right? There's not a great seller lead gen platform out there. I know you guys do some really awesome things. So I think the VAs can also tag on to things you guys are already doing with Woods, Davis, and a lot of those guys. However, I think that through the lead gen, a lot of our VAs are actually touching some of your guys' new construction funnels right now. They have VAs working on those funnels, and now they're able to double their spend. They're able to double the number of leads coming in because the VA is sorting them, doing some reach outs, doing some of those things. Even though it's buyers, you guys all know that the new construction funnel is to get some listings too. So people that need to sell to get into that new construction. So I know that's kind of a little bit of a scattered answer there, but database CRM work, we call it client concierge. Get a VA that just loves your database. Your listings are going to increase. And as a solo agent, 5-10 extra deals a year, $50,000, $75,000 more. That's big time. That's one hire. You go hire 2, 3. You hire one for that. You hire one to take care of a new construction funnel to grow that side and let them touch that. You're $1,000 a month in salary, and you have 2 different parts of your business now that are scaling. So
yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, and I think you got to look at from a VA's as you would it's an investment, right? It's not an expense, it's an investment. And what's the ROI on that investment, as well as what's the ROT, right? What's the return on your time for that investment? And I think that's just really one of the great ways to approach it. And I know T's asking, 500 program. Just I'll clarify a little bit, because it's not, there's not a program. You actually take on the salary responsibility for this hire. They work directly for you. They don't work for Justin. They don't work for Sphere. They become your team member. They work directly for you. And that's the difference from the other programs, is that you're in a contract basis through them, and they're never feels like they're really your team member.
No. So, and John, the best way to explain this, we're the honey badgers of the VA world, right? I have the Sphere Rocket group. Everybody's in there. They're running their own businesses with their own people, but I am the honey badger. I am the organization that's providing the weekly coaching calls and the training and the calls and the mentorship calls. My staff, my in-person admins, my social media marketing directors that are in the United States, they do things just like you could do for the honey badgers. We're doing these weekly trainings, interviewing people. And so you're absolutely right. The $500 that you pay your VA, that goes directly to your VA, and we help you set all of that up. You don't ever leave us in that. So love that clarification.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And for you guys, I know David's asking, and for everybody kind of listening in, Justin, what's the best way to connect with you directly?
Yeah, so the best way to connect with me directly is usually just to schedule an intro call, John. We're not like most people where you can go on a website and just sign up for a VA, because we do deny about 15% of people that want a VA through us right now, just because they're not ready, or they tell me, hey, we have unrealistic expectations. So the best way, you can message me on Facebook. The other best way is just going to sphererocketva.com, which is SPHERE rocketva.com. You can schedule a time on my calendar. We're basically just going to analyze the business with you. What do you actually need, right? You might get on the call and go, Justin, my life's a mess. I don't know what I need. Just tell me what I need, right? We get that all the time. Sometimes I get people like you that you're like, I need someone, a funnel expert that got this skill and that skill and can do this. We can also handle that. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the program of like, okay, cool. Here's how we find the VA. Here's how we train them, recruit them. Here's how we turn them over to you. Here's the training we provide you, John, to make sure you're equipped for it. and here's all the extra benefits we provide you. So just going to our website, scheduling a time is the best way.
Yeah, and I would recommend going over there. Justin and his team has a ton of content of what they can do to give you kind of some perspective if it's a big choke point for you in your business, to be able to look at that. And just remember, guys, right thing, right order. You have to know the goal. You have to know what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You've got your business model set up. You know strategically what it is you're trying to accomplish to get to the goal. And then the question is, instead of figuring out how am I going to do it, who do I need to help me accomplish this, and what are they going to do that's going to close the gap and get us closer to where we want to be. And you look at what are all the ways, right? And you look at my current financial situation, what's the best plan of attack, and something that we strongly encourage and we're always thinking about is what's those next 3, 4, 5, 6 hires that you have to make that's going to get you to that goal.
Yep.
And I've had that list for 2 years on my board.
Yep.
And I closed the gap on that within 45 days. And it's just like, my gosh, it's just sometimes it just takes a little bit to understand, that you can do things faster within the salary cap requirements, the budget that you have to be able to do what you want to do. So no, man, this has really been fantastic and hopefully challenged a lot of false beliefs that a lot of people have about VAs and hiring and what they think they have to grow their business.
Absolutely, man. It's the mindset, and it never gets easier either. And I'll tell you that from my coach this week, Dustin Runyon, fellow honey badger. He basically told me, Justin, how do you double your income in the next 60 days? Well, I'm like, I can't double my income because I don't have the staff for it. And he's like, perfect. He's like, you need to hire 15 more people. And even for me, I was like, but do I? I'm good at this, and it's still a struggle. So if people are feeling a struggle, that's normal. Resistance to make more money is normal. If you're not feeling a struggle, you might be a little crazy. So if you feel the struggle, that's okay. Because, John, nothing good was ever acquired without a little bit of risk.
100%, man. It takes that risk to be able to keep moving forward. So any final thoughts for these honey badgers? Man, this has been awesome. Definitely a ton of valuable content. If you guys are even remotely on the fence or thinking about it, all I can say is have a call with Justin. He'll talk you through. And just like you said, if you're not ready, he'll tell you you're not ready. If he can help you, he'll tell you he can help you. So that's the best thing I can share as a final parting word. I would love any final parting shots for everybody listening in.
The only thing I got, man, is I think we're up to 35 different honey badgers now using our VAs, and multiple of them have 2, 3, 4 now. So even if you want to connect with someone that's like-minded to you, like Justin, here's my experience, who's doing this at a high level. That's the cool thing, is I can even get you in contact with them, even within our same honey badger culture. Because here's the cool thing, John, those 35 people with their honey badger VAs, we got people like Andrew Franklin, #1 team in EXP in the world, using our VAs. I tell you, I see people's other VAs communicating in the back chat rooms with Andrew Franklin's VA. Your business is going to grow when your VA is talking to Andrew Franklin's VA. I can promise you right now. They are learning things that they thought they would never learn, right? And same in return. I'm learning things. And so I only share that to go, if you're a little bit on the fence, but they don't know me, or they don't maybe I'm different. No, you're really not. We all have a fundamental of the same business. So I just share that to go, there's also a lot more people doing some cool things, even outside of what I teach with VA.
It's cool, man. It's been awesome so far. Looking to continue to grow, and I appreciate what you've built. I mean, you have not only the training for people to help understand what they need to do to get set up, but also the training for the VAs, right? The continuous ongoing training, something that they need. And I think that's also kind of cool, is that you guys are looking for growth-minded talent that want to learn. And so, for us, and I believe for everybody in this group listening in, they wouldn't be a part of this with us if they weren't growth-minded. And so having growth-minded talent on your team, but having a resource like you to be able to help find that growth-minded talent really helps solve, one of the biggest frustrations for a lot of people is bringing people on board that just don't want to grow.
Absolutely, man. And the other kind of maybe last parting word that just kind of came to mind too is people are using our services too a lot of times to help grow like their value add to their organization as part of the revenue share too. We have a lot of big hitters. You know, I know Kyle Whistle, he had a few people that he referred last week and basically said, hey, I don't even want a referral fee. Just give them the best deal because I'm trying to impress them. I'm trying to help them grow. And so I know a lot of people are using, you know, just the recommendation of our services to help, you know, people in their organization grow. It's a retention thing again. So even if it's not you, there may be other people that could benefit that ultimately still ends up benefiting you in the end.
Yeah, man, big time. And dude, I really appreciate you. I know your schedule's crazy to be able to make the time here. I was hoping to catch you in Puerto Rico. We would have some similar backgrounds.
I know, man. I know. I'm out. I'm going back to Cabo here in a week or so. So we'll have to do another one.
Your travel schedule is ridiculous, and I know you ain't going to slow down anytime soon. So I really appreciate you. Appreciate you guys listening in. I mean, seriously. I mean, if you're looking to grow, you know, budget, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, if you're looking for talent and you know you need some help, just have a conversation with Justin's team. They're top notch, and man, I can't really, you know, sing enough praises for you guys and what you've done for me and Holly and our organization just in a short amount of time. And I'm excited for there's a lot of stuff in the background people just don't know, and I'm excited what's about to come just because of you and being able to find that talent. So it really is pretty awesome. So brother, I appreciate you, man. Get safe travels off to Cabo. If you need anything from us, feel free to reach out.
I appreciate it, man.
Cool. Thank you guys. Make sure you guys connect with Justin, give him lots of love, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.